Hi, my name is Zach, and we're in this series called Why Believe. And the series is basically just about why you should believe in Jesus, why you should believe in the Bible, and why you should believe in Christianity as a whole. And I'm just going to make a case for Jesus using his words. And just hopefully, whether you are a strong Christian and you just want to use this as a defense to just kind of beat that doubt you might have inside of you of the validity of Jesus. Or if you're a new believer and you're still trying to figure out what you actually believe, this series is for you. And so next we're just going to be talking about what authority Jesus has. And obviously, authority is something that should be really taken into consideration when you decide if somebody is speaking the truth or not. And for example, if I were to say, hey, a new iPhone is coming out tomorrow, you probably wouldn't believe me, but if the CEO of Apple came to you and was like, hey, a new iPhone's coming out tomorrow, you would probably believe him because he has more authority on that subject. And obviously, Jesus says that he has all authority in heaven and on earth. And that's a pretty bold statement, honestly. And you would probably say to somebody like that, prove it. And so here are two stories from the New Testament that prove that Jesus has all authority on heaven and on earth. And so here are the two miracles that we're talking about. The first one is in Matthew 8, and this starts in verse 23, and it says, when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. And so him and his disciples are in a boat, and suddenly a violent storm arose on the seas, so the boat was covered by the waves, but Jesus was sleeping. And so this huge storm's coming. The disciples, some of them are fishermen, by the way, and then the disciples went and woke him up and said, Lord, save us, we are going to die. And so here's a violent storm, so violent that fishermen are like, this is a violent storm, we're gonna die. Like, let's wake up Jesus, because we're gonna die. And he said to them, why are you afraid, you men of little faith? Then he got up and he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was at once a great and wonderful calm, perfect peacefulness. The men wondered in amazement, saying, what kind of man is this, that even the winds and the seas obey him? And I think this story, it's told in, I think, 3 of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And it's just an awesome display of how Jesus has control over the weather. And I think it's interesting because the disciples use language and they say, obey him. And in this passage, Jesus never he never claims that it was God the Father that this miracle was being done through. I think it's because Jesus has authority on earth. And he was doing this to prove that. And it's interesting, this story is actually right after another story. And I just want to take away from, this is what a centurion said to Jesus, which is like a commander of an army in Rome. And he said, Lord, I am not worthy to have you under my roof, but only say the word and my servant will be healed. For I am also a man subject to authority of higher rank, with soldiers subject to me, and I say to one, go, and he goes. And I say another, come, and he comes. And to my slave, do this, and he does that. And so when he says to the waves, and he rebukes them, and they obey him, it's showing that he has authority over the waves, that he has authority on earth to do his will. And then the next story right after this is talking about Jesus casting out some demons. And that's kind of an interesting topic because a lot of people don't believe in demons. So, but the spiritual realm is real, and that's what Jesus says, and that I believe Jesus because I'm a Jesus follower. And so this is what happens. So he arrived at the other side in the country of Gadarenes, and 2 men who were demon-possessed came out of the tombs after them. They were so extremely fierce and violent that no one could pass by their way. And they screamed out, "What business do we have in common with each other? Son of God, have you come to torment us before the appointed time of judgment?" Some distance between them, a large herd of pigs was grazing. And the demons begged him, "If you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out of the men and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and died in the water. The herdsmen ran away and went to the city and reported everything, including what had happened to the men under the power of the demons. The whole city came out to meet Jesus, and as soon as they saw him, they begged him to leave the region. And so, this is a powerful piece of evidence, and it just shows that, like, these demons, in fact, in Mark it says the name of the demons was named Legion, which means many. And so these many demons beg Jesus, like, "Please let us go into these pigs if you're gonna send us out of this." And he just says go, and they leave. Like, he doesn't have to fight them because he already has authority over them. And so these two passages, 2 stories, just show the authority of Jesus on both heaven and earth. And so we can trust what he says about what's going on in heaven and on earth. And that's why I believe in Jesus, and why I believe in his authority in both heaven and on earth, and the things that happen on those places. And that's why you should believe those things too. So I hope that this just helps you believe more in your faith. And we're going to continue this series on why you should believe. And hopefully you join us.